what they were doing before the pandemic and what things look like now. So Christina, please take it away.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Christina Seke, and I'm the Executive Director of Second Home. And hi, Susan. And thank you so very, very much for your invitation for me to talk about Second Home. To be honest, Second Home is my life and my passion, especially right now with COVID and the way we have restructured our program. I would like to share some slides with you. I would have loved to invite you in person to Second Home, but obviously that's not a possibility right now. So I have prepared some PowerPoints or some slides for you to give you a little better idea of who we are, what we do, and who we work with. I do believe that pictures are worth 100 words. So I'm going to try to share my screen with you. Just bear with me, please. This is a new experience for me, but I tried it out and it should work. All right, I'm still working on it. All right, while I'm working on this, let me just give you a little introduction about Second Home. And so Second Home has been around since 2007. That's when Spotswood Elementary School principal reached out to the community and was looking for, and was looking for a place for her children, her latchkey children, to be after school. Muhlenberg Lutheran Church responded to this need, and their Muhlenberg Activity Center was new at the time, so they offered their space, and Second Home became a local outreach ministry of Muhlenberg Lutheran Church. All right, Mary. Yeah, let me try to do that because it's not really working on my part. So I will do that.
And just so you all know, what we're doing is she's going to try sending the Google Doc to me. I'm going to open it up, and if I can open it up, try to share that screen with you guys.
Yeah, hopefully
that. With us while we work out the kinks.
For some reason, this is not working the way it worked for me a few minutes ago. Okay. Just give me a second, please. Okay. Mary, what was your email address? Oh, here it is. Okay. All right, so at the beginning, we were only open for about 25 children after school, but very soon it became apparent that families needed before school care as well. So then Second Home decided to serve the families with before and after school. Throughout the years, we have grown to serve 3 elementary schools in the city, and we are licensed for 100 students right now. Now with COVID, obviously things have had to change. Mary, can you put it into presenter view, please? Right, thank you. And so in the spring, when schools closed, mid-April, we were the first school age program that opened up for elementary age school children of essential workers. At the time, we were only open for a few children. And then in the summer, throughout the summer, we were able to raise our numbers. And today, now that schools are back in session, but only virtually for most of the children, we are serving 65 children. 63 of them are from Harrisonburg City Public Schools. So I wanted to start with this quote from one of our returning students, a fourth grade boy, who told us that he really wanted to be able to come back to second home in September. And so he was praying and praying that he could come back to second home, and was really happy when his mother told him that they had the space, that we had the space for him. So as I mentioned, we are serving 60 plus children full day with full day childcare. We open at 6 in the morning and 6 in the morning and close at 6 in the afternoon. And Mary, if you would skip to the next slide. So our mission statement is that we provide children with a safe place to learn and grow, and we offer support that ensures academic success, and we strive to have each child I'm sorry. Oh, I can only see Susan now. We strive to have each child recognize their full potential. So it was kind of a no-brainer for us that as soon as we were allowed to open up, we would be open for these children. We all know how much children need not only the safety, but the care and of course the academic help that we have been trained to and we have set out to provide for all of our children. This group picture was taken in the summer when we only had a few children in the center. Next one, please. So as you see, pre-pandemic, we were an academically focused licensed before and after school program, serving 100 children in kindergarten through 5th grade from Spotswood, Smithland, and Waterman elementary schools. And then due to COVID, and we restructured, and we were the first school-age childcare that reopened for essential workers in the spring. And then now we are actually serving children from 4 elementary schools in the city. We have children from both middle schools, and we also have 2 high school students with us who have grown up at second home, and they just want to be there to have a safe place to complete their schoolwork, and also to have the company of each other and of the other children. They help out as junior volunteers when they are not busy with their schoolwork. This is just showing our location. We are located at Muhlenberg Activities Center, which is a building right behind Muhlenberg Lutheran Church. So we are centrally located in downtown Harrisonburg. So one of the things that sets us apart from some of the other childcare facilities that are specifically serving school-age children is our operating hours. We are the only ones that open at 6 in the morning. That provides the convenience for those parents who have to work early shifts to drop their children off early and then still make it to work in time. We are also open until 6 p.m. And believe it or not, we do have some children who arrive at 6 and leave at 6. So these are really long days for our children. So we want to make sure that we have a good variety of activities for them. And the younger ones have quiet time and nap time as well. We also want to make sure that Harrisonburg City's low-income families have quality childcare. childcare that they can afford. So we purposefully keep our fees very low and still offer scholarships to those children or those families who need it, because they still need the quality and quality childcare and safety for their children, so the parents can support their families. All of our children are scholarshiped because obviously the low fees that we charge will not cover all of the costs that our operation needs. So we try to make up the balance with grant money and also community support, community donations. Even though Second Home is Ministry of Muhlenberg Lutheran Church, we are not a faith-based organization. We welcome all children from any backgrounds, any faith backgrounds, and of course, socioeconomic and cultural backgrounds. Yes. So we are a licensed facility. So, not only are our teachers and staff members are fully background checked, but we also provide extensive training to the teachers. Even people that we hire when they come to Second Home are already pretty well trained and have huge experience with, in working with children, or they might be studying to be teachers and educators to work with children. And then we provide extra training to them according to our licensing regulations and our program needs. So apart from the safety and the educational help, we want to make sure that our children are well fed. We want to make sure that we help reduce the daily food insecurity and in our families. Since we work with very low income families, a lot of the children experience food insecurity in their lives. These are just a few pictures from our early morning opening. Now, when you see pictures of children not wearing masks, those are probably pictures from before the pandemic hit. We do wear masks at Second Home. Children can take their masks off when they are at their tables and they are 6 feet away from each other. But otherwise, they have to wear masks just as teachers and staff members do. These are some early morning activities as the children are gathering and waiting for their classes to go to their classrooms or to start their virtual learning. As you can see, we do offer a lot of learning opportunities for our children. Obviously, since they are completing their schoolwork virtually, virtual education and their activities are very high priority for us. But we also want to make sure that our groups are little communities and they also have a chance to learn social skills and emotional skills as well. These are just some photos of children doing their virtual activities. This is a bit of a crazy time for teachers and students. I think everyone is doing their best. So here you can see some of our children doing their classes, and one of them is actually doing PE via virtual education. We also help the children make sure that helps the children complete their homework and other non-synchronous tasks that they will have to show their teachers. The kids actually really enjoyed the recent science challenge that was set by their teachers for them. They had to build bridges, and in one of the pictures you can see 3 of our students showing off their bridges. Of course, virtual education is quite difficult for the children, and we have so many young children who really need other ways of learning as well. So we want to make sure that they have plenty of hands-on learning activities. These are just some of the examples. One of our main focuses is literacy. So we want to make sure that children are not only exposed to books and reading materials, that they enjoy their activities as well. So we do have a lot of children at second home who don't own home libraries. They have very limited number of books at home. So we want to make sure that they can enjoy their reading and writing activities with us. Art is a very important part of learning, and also not only educational, but children can learn emotional skills and self-regulation through art, and just enjoying nature and enjoying the world around them. So we always want to make sure that we include art activities at second home. Music is another way of learning about the world, about their emotions, and we have a trained music teacher on staff, Ms. Shepherd. On this picture, you can see the children participating in a drumming circle. Outside play is especially a very important part of the children's days nowadays. They spend so much time in front of the computers, sitting at their tables, that we want to make sure that they can get outside as much as possible when they are done with their schoolwork. And of course, second home is here to make friends. Not only friends among your peers, but friends among adults as well. It's so important for the children to learn how to be friends with adults and how to communicate with adults. And if you look at the third picture, we also have some very special friends like Layla, the trained therapy dog who comes to meet our children and to help them through some emotional difficulties. We do take the children on field trips. We want them to learn about their surroundings. We want them to enjoy nature and enjoy the city. So in the summer, we were lucky enough that we could take the children to the Friendly City Food Co-op, where they got to taste some local produce. Our wonderful teachers also took them out to take some water samples from Black Run. And the children went and explored downtown Harrisonburg and placed some happy and nice messages that they painted on rocks for people to find. We also had a wonderful trip to Trinity, where the kids enjoyed a beautiful day of playing on your playground, and we had a picnic lunch for them. And I do want to thank the Trinity leadership for allowing us to come and visit your playground during the biggest COVID shutdowns. And so we also are a big family. We call ourselves second home, and we really want people to feel that this is their second home. Um, in the summer, one of our teachers graduated from JMU, but she could not participate in a live graduation ceremony. So we created a ceremony for her. Our children made caps. Our teachers who had caps and gowns wore their gowns and caps. And we had a really special celebration for her. We actually Zoomed her parents in as well to make sure that they could be part of this big family celebration. But we really appreciate our teachers. We want to make sure that they feel welcome, and of course, our families as well. Second home, although we are a before and after school care program, we also want to make sure that our program supports the families. So it's not just while the children are at second home, but also when the children are back home with their parents. Now, we are not really able to provide take-home meals at the moment, but we have been organizing pop-up pantries, and we provide community information to our families, and also help them with community resources. Now, things that we definitely cannot do right now, but we did in the past and we will resume them as soon as possible, are theater. That is one of the trademarks of Second Home. The last 4 years, we have been producing musical theater performances with our children. These are a tremendous learning experience for these children. Not only do they learn public speaking skills and learn um, um, learn lines and memorizing skills, but they also learn about working as a group. Teamwork is so important throughout our lives, and this has been a wonderful experience for all those children who have participated in the musicals, and also for the community who came to see them. We also like to organize special events, which unfortunately are not really possible at the moment. On this picture, you see all of our children and volunteers who came for a Read Across America reading party. We love in-house volunteers, which again, since we are limiting our numbers in the building, and also we have to, but being very careful about who is in contact with teachers and with our kids. Unfortunately, we are not able to have a lot of in-house volunteers, but they are a huge part of our program. They help our children with reading and homework and other learning activities. So we have a few pictures here of in-house volunteers. And as I mentioned, Second Home is community supported. We cannot do all this work with the children and with our families without the community's support. So we welcome any kind of support, volunteers, and donations, and and just having caring adults who show how much they care about our children. And thank you for inviting me to talk to you about Second Home.
Excellent. Thank you, Christina. I'm going to stop sharing this right now. Does anybody have any questions for Christina? If you would, just make sure you unmute your line before you start talking. Virginia, go ahead.
Hi, Christina. This is Virginia Healy.
Hi, Virginia.
So cool for me to look at the slides because I see a lot of former students that I've had. And I know I have at least one sixth grader learning with you right now.
Mm-hmm.
So my question, of course, is you said you could hold maybe 100. Do you have slots for kids who could still join the program this year?
So we are licensed for 100, but because of space limitations and having to set the children up with 6-foot distancing, we are full right now. So our 100 is our non-pandemic number.
Excellent. Anyone else have any questions?
Ellie has one on the chat thing, I think.
Thank you for that. Why can't Second Home be part of the backpack program? I think she's referring to the Keister backpack program, which is something that Trinity also supports. And I'm not the expert, that would be Dane. But I suspect it has to do with the fact that the Keister backpack program is Keister focused. I don't know what the other schools do or don't do in terms of backpack programs.
Can you clarify the backpack program to me?
Sure. So there's a program that's run partly by teachers, which was originally, by parents, that was originally started at Trinity, moved to Keister, is now back physically at Trinity because they need all the space that they have at Keister. And basically what it does is puts together backpacks, if you will, of food that go home with certain kids on the weekend. So they have food to eat during the weekend when they're not getting the free or reduced cost meals at school.
Right. So RISE did something similar to some of the other schools. So I do know that Smithland students, some Smithland students and Spotswood students would arrive to Second Home, from the schools with their meals. Of course, now that most of our only 3 of our students are going off to school during the day, all of the others are spending the whole day at Second Home. So they would not be getting those kind of meal bags from their schools, but the schools are giving out free meals right now I believe on Tuesdays or Thursdays that parents can go and pick up. Yes, so these programs are school-based, and I know that at least 2 of the schools that we have worked with had something similar going on through RISE. Whether that's still happening, I'm not sure.
What is RISE?
RISE is, I believe, a church community here in Harrisonburg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a Methodist church that's downtown. Used to be on Mason Street, but now they have a downtown building.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Great questions. Anyone else have questions?
I just have something to share, which is that Second Home does become a part of your home. It's amazing to me how much I love those children, and the staff and the community really are my second home. When we had that program this summer for the graduation for that college student, I was sitting next to a little guy who you saw me in that picture with their matching masks. He just looked over at me and said, "I just love Second Home." It's just really a special place with special bonds.
I might comment that I've seen, gosh, I don't know how many storefront churches just popping up all over the city. I particularly noticed that when I was making deliveries and such, just all over the city. I've seen those pop up in different places.
Excellent. Judy had a question for Christina. Where do the 3 children who are not a part of Harrisonburg City Schools go to school?
Those 3 children are in county schools, which is normally, so when we rely on school bus transportation, obviously we are a little more limited of where we can take children from. But since they are spending their whole days at Second Home right now, we can take children from other schools as well.
Yes, Lauren, go ahead.
I'm a teacher in Rockingham County, and I guess what I just really want to know, I have students in different childcare settings. Is there something that you wish teachers knew, or is there something that you wish teachers could do differently that would help the children, especially those who are not in their own homes right now, but are in a group setting like that, something that would make it easier that is within their control?
Mhm. Yes, well, thank you so much for asking that question. Of course, most of our children are from the city schools. And this is not something that, of course, you can control, but what we are dealing with, what's really difficult for us is having so many children from so many different schools and different classes. All the logins are different, all the schedules are different. I think that especially, coming from the county, but even the city too, is the teachers' understanding of our situation would be very, very helpful. We have a lot of children, and since not all the children are in, having at the same schedule, yes, there will be commotion around the students. There will be kids walking around, and it's not that child's fault if someone is standing behind her. Our teachers also have to be able to monitor of what the students are doing, because so many of them, especially are just, they get bored and then they click over to another window, or they will click off and they'll claim that it's the internet connection that broke. And so we have to be able to see what they are doing. We have to be able to monitor them. So we can't really turn them with their backs to the wall, because then we won't be able to see them. We also just don't have the space to put every child in front of a wall space. Um, Also with younger children, and Susan can attest to this because she works with a group of 2 kindergartners and 5 first graders. They cannot do their own assignments on their own. They need an adult to help them log on, figure out what to do, how to do their assignments. It takes us about 5 minutes to log on, explain to them what to do, and it takes them 2 minutes to do the exercise. And she has 7 of those kids that she's trying to deal with at the same time. So any kind of grace, or understanding, if not all the activities are completed, it's not because we are not working on them, it's because it's a huge tasks for teachers who are handling several children at a time. It would be difficult enough at home for a parent to help her child or their child, but that might be just 1 or 2 children, and Susan is dealing with 7 children at a time, and all of our other teachers are as well. So I guess that's probably it, because schedules, I mean, there is only so much you can do, but I am pretty sure that all of the childcare facilities are really struggling with just trying to make sure that the children are completing their work. So, um, but yes, we are dealing with so many different schedules, so many different ways of logging in, and of course, sometimes the internet is not really cooperating either. So any kind of understanding, and patience would be much appreciated.
I hope you're getting that. I hope you feel like you're getting that already.
I was going to say, Lauren, the teachers that I communicate with have been
Mhm.
very gracious
Yeah.
and very cooperative, and I do feel like it's a cooperative effort. I haven't.
Mhm.
It's difficult, but I do want them to know when we're trying and we can't connect or.
Mhm.
Right. And when a teacher asks the child to mute, it's certainly not anything personal, but
Oh,
I know
that's like the least of our problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
background
Yeah,
noise can
yeah,
really mess
Mhm.
with everybody's communication. So
sure.
Sure.
I know it's a huge job, and thank you for what you're doing for each child and each teacher who is teaching that child. You're a real blessing.
Well, yes, thank you. And that's really what I'm trying to do too, is when we get emails and calls. I know that the teachers are just really trying to make sure that children are able to complete their activities and their assignments. But I try to communicate with them, like when a child has a high blood glucose level and is starting to throw a tantrum because of that, the teacher needs to know. Or when a child is distracted, the teacher needs to know that that child just recently had tubes put into her ears and her hearing is just kind of returning and her eyesight is not really good, and we are trying to convince the parents to go and get the child's eyes checked. So there are so many different reasons why the children are not able to pay attention. It may not be that that there are other children there, but of course that could be a big reason as well. So I know Susan has been communicating a lot with the teachers. I have been communicating them as well, just trying to help them understand the needs of the children. Since when the children are with you in school, you would be aware of possibly a lot of these things, but since you are not right there, you may not know what is actually going on in the child's life at the time.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
John.
might mention, I've listened to radio programs and seen stuff on TV about the different ways that kids learn, and particularly when they're a part of the autistic spectrum. That we actually did at Troop 40. We did a session with I forget I can't remember the name of the woman that did it. Her sons were in the troop, but she did a whole series of a whole program on how to deal with these autistic spectrum kids and such. And it was very informative. Burke, I think it was her last name. She had two sons in the Troop 40 program. The oldest son was Chris, and the youngest son was Steve, as I recall. She goes to the Bridgewater Church, Presbyterian Church, or at least she did.
So Christine, I guess the question is, what have you been seeing? Do you have any students that are on the spectrum? If so, have they been able to adapt?
So yes, we have children who are on the spectrum. Most of those children are not identified as being on the spectrum, but we know enough of the spectrum and we know enough of the children that we suspect that they are on the spectrum. We don't have anyone who is in the autistic program at the moment. So all of these children are in mainstream. As I said, they have not necessarily been identified as on the spectrum, but they really need a lot of help and a lot of help to be able to stay focused, to follow their schedules, to follow the work. A lot of the children, the children spend a lot of time in front of the computer, whether
Uh-oh, lost you.
That was my fault, folks. I'm trying to get her to unmute. I hit the wrong button.
there you are.
It's my
Okay.
bad.
No, it's no problem. It's okay. So yes, so the children, those children need a lot of help, and many times one-on-one help, or at least someone who is really there and watching them, making sure that they are able to focus on their work. And especially the older children spend a lot of time on the computers, which is kind of difficult for them. I kind of wish that there was a way to sort of reimagine education right now. And instead of trying to do all the synchronous learning, sitting in front of the computers, the children could learn more in project-based learning, where they would have some project type activities that they complete and on their own, and then maybe just somehow submit it to the teacher instead of sitting in front of the computer in a class for hours and hours at a time.
I have a question. Speaking of internet troubles, how are you doing in terms of internet bandwidth? Are you finding that you have enough, or are you finding that you're maxing it out at points?
So we have received a lot of help from the schools. Harrisonburg City Public Schools placed 2 mega hotspots, 2 smaller hotspots, and some repeaters into our building. While at the first few weeks, it was just crazy. Kids were being kicked off of the internet. The hotspots were not working. They weren't enough. The synchronous were learning when children are in Zoom meetings or in Google Classroom meetings, take up a lot of bandwidth. So it's getting much better now. Once in a while, we are not able to get a child connected, but for most of the time, children are able to be connected, and even if they get kicked off, it's only for a short time. It is frustrating, though. It's frustrating for the children, and I'm sure it's frustrating for the teachers as well. Susan knows sometimes we are walking around the building. We have 3 different internet sources, and we are trying to figure out which one we can connect the child to. So yes, I wouldn't say we have enough bandwidth, but it's workable for most of the time.
Getting close to the end of our time here. Do we have any other questions for Christina? Okay, seeing none. Christina, thank you very much for your time this morning. It was certainly very informative, and
I have not a question, but just a comment.
Of course, go ahead, Susan.
Just in line with needs of second home and financial support, it certainly is a program that works on a shoestring, and it's difficult sometimes when other programs are able to access more funds. And so Second Home is doing the best we can do with what we have. So just a plea, I put it out there for Trinity and for any folks who want to help support Second Home financially. And we also need more staff. So if y'all know anybody that is, would like a wonderful part-time job, send them to Christina.
Yes, please.
If we wanted to, help financially or something, can we send a check or something through the mail to Susie, for example? Someone we know are.
Sure, or to Second Home at Muhlenberg Lutheran Church's address. So that's 281 East Market Street. And we get mail through the church. So as long as it's addressed to Second Home, we will be able to receive it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll go ahead and put a link on to their website, which has everything you need. So if you go into chat, you should be able to see it there. Okay. Anything else, folks? All right, well, we're a minute to noon, so thank you all for participating. Thank you, Susie and Christina, for all the great information. Just so you know, next week, our presenter will be from First Step. Manuela, I believe her name is our community outreach person. I'm going to beg your patience next week because I'm also the liturgist. So I have to figure out a way to keep my line going while I'm doing the liturgist part and not burn out my cell phone. So just bear with me.